All right, there. Now it's your mans and them files shot and reporting on the Bamboozled Again News Network, where today's installment will be "It Ain't No Fun When the Rabbit Got the Gun." Let me preface my thoughts, right? And I come with like personal from my personal life, cause I don't know what else I'm gonna talk about. Who's more well versed to talk about, the things that I go through, who I am, how I've grown, mistakes I've made, things I've learned along the journey, but me. So I don't know if this is necessarily a YouTube channel, might be more of a vlog. Sometimes I'll be all over the place with it, right? So this is see, sometimes words escape me. This is a very surreal time to be in. You know what I mean? As the word says, we're sent out like sheep amongst wolves. You know what I mean? Or as the words say, where, they will present themselves as, the wolves in sheep's clothing, rather. And come to find out, somebody actually said that about me, yo. And here's why, right? So I believe on here I talked about how I got one custody of my child, right? So, just like in the black community where we'll get a symbolic victory and then we'll pack it up and go home, not realizing the fight continues, or you need to safeguard the land that you won, you know what I mean? So that you don't backtrack, right? So, okay, I won, okay, cool, boom, right? So the other party has been increasingly going through a third party to ask me to unblock them so we can communicate. But I was very hesitant and leery of doing so, because I'm like, well, why you want to talk so bad now? Because when this initially started, when I had to, file, proceedings in court to protect myself from said individual, they didn't block me, but they weren't responding to text message and phone calls. They just iced me out. Meanwhile, while they're icing me out, I'm still paying child support for a child to live with me. You know what I'm saying? I can't access medical records and so on and so forth. Things that I can't just get functional information to deal with the child that's under my roof. And I'm like, yo, why would they do that? But then, when I understood who this individual is because they were attempting to ice me out of information that they knew I would be have a negative opinion of, because there's financial resources and so forth tied to the child. Mainly having my child labeled as disabled when anybody with eyeballs can see that's not the case. I talked about on here how that's the modern version of sacrificing your children to Moloch. So I received mail, from Social Security or whatever, and this was my assumption anyway, just looking at the person and trying to, looking at their behavior, their mentality, in a general sense to understand what their next play is or whatever, right? So come to find out they have all their children labeled as disabled, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Get a printout of how much Social Security pays, which was more than I thought they paid, because I don't know nothing about none of this, right? So it alludes to my spiritual spidey sense being correct, because they were fighting to hold on to these various resources, right? So now that's all, within my authority. And here in the state of Maryland, they drag feet. You know what I'm saying? Now, they quick to take your money, but when they owe your money or when you come with documentation, they slow on the draw. Sometimes it be making me feel like these various state, like if you live in a small town, everybody know each other. Sometimes I be feeling like they be doing it on purpose to uphold the chicanery. You know what I'm saying? You know how the sisterhood, will look out for the sisterhood, even though the sisterhood dead wrong. And let's say another sister might not do it, but she won't say nothing about this sister doing it, that make us all look bad. You know what I mean? So I'm still having, not necessarily a fight because I've submitted all the documentation, but I'm having a hard, or it's been very slow, like molasses process to get these various institutions to hit me back, so I can, get doctor's appointments set, make sure this, that, and the third, right? So I said, no. Now I prayed on it, right? So I prays on it, I go to sleep, and I wake up with the answer. Oh, write them a letter and get them to sign it that these will be the parameters of our communication. And I mails it to the other party. So through our third party that no longer wants to be involved, and I understand it. So since they don't want to be involved in it, thank you for your service, whoo. but I won't hold you in that position. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to unblock this individual, right? Not because I want to, but because the third party doesn't want to be involved anymore, because they came after them. So I sent the letter. I signed it and said I was going to get it notarized. And again, basically that the parameters of our communication will be in reference to the business of the child, right? I also put in the letter that any deceptive practices will not be tolerated, right? So I'm thinking when I send this, so okay, we got something in record, right? But they sent it back. Well, they didn't send it back. They went through the third party and said, I'm not going to sign it because, and then they start talking about some other stuff that had nothing to do with the actual letter. What the fact that I had an issue with drugs got to do with parameters now, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not on drugs now, you know what I'm saying? It was like a whole essay, right? To get into an Ivy League school of nothing that had nothing to do with nothing, but it reiterated the fact of why I wrote the letter, because they're not going to adhere to the letter because they had no plans on adhering to the letter. My spiritual spidey sense was telling me they're eager to talk to you now, because what they'll do is they'll probably be easy about a couple weeks, and then they'll contrive some type of situation, call or text, in hopes to get a certain reaction out of you, hoping that, you know, that reaction plays into whatever game plan they were trying to run to, again, make me, you know, paint me in a negative light before other people that I don't care nothing about. You know what I mean? There was a lot of gaslighting in the letter. There was a lot of, I'm attempting to keep the child from her, right? Even though that's not in the best interest of the child. And I keep, you know, repeating that. This is about the best interest of the child, right? You know what I mean? What else? It was just so convoluted with chicanery. It's hard to even recall it, but it just reiterated my initial synopsis, you know, and foresight of what the other, because they're not taking this line down. They don't know how to, and I'm not just this party, but I'm noticing with people with common mental and behavioral traits, it is impossible for them to humble themselves. It is impossible for them not to play the victimhood card. When all that you're alleging that I'm attempting to do now, you have previously done, which forced me to go through a legal proceeding that initially I didn't know how to go about it, but I had to figure it out, because what you're saying I'm attempting to do now, you done to me previously when the child started living with me. But you justified it and it was all right. You know what I'm saying? Then when somebody turn around, not that I'm doing it out of spite, it's out of protection and wisdom. Then when somebody turn around and do the exact same thing to you, now it's all wrong, but it was completely justified when you did it. Yo, and it's not even like I'm, you know, fearful or anything like that. You know what I'm actually like, I am fearful. I'm fearful for this individual's soul, Jack. Like, the how my man to it, the man said, the narcissistic amnesia. Like, you just forgot that you had him backdate child support because we had a issue that came to light, and it was what I said it was, even though wouldn't nobody listen to me, and had him backdated, and instantly overnight had me $3,500 in a hole to the state. And they was threatening to take my license, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Here's what's crazy. In previous conversation, around about the time this was happening, I was blown away because they were taking, and brother, he talks about this. That's why I find his content very informative. They were taking credit for you know, things I had done that they can't do when they were nowhere around. How you gonna take credit for something I done did and you don't know how to do it? And here's what I perceive. They actually believe this stuff, yo. That's a mental health disorder. Why are you not disabled, yo? Ultimately, be honest with you, yo. With this new kind of, I guess, spiritual kind of, you know, as I walk the spiritual path, right? I'm saddened by this, yo. Like, and I've been through my various trials and tribulations caused by my own hand, right? So I know this, like, you know, to make bad mistakes or have the consequences of your bad mistakes sit in on you for a period of time, and you feel like poop, and you don't feel good about yourself, and you shouldn't, because you're not making good decisions. You know what I'm saying? Or in my case, I knew what to make. I knew what decision to make. It's just a question if I'm gonna make it or not. Because sometimes I don't want to make the right decision. I want to do what I want to do. But me doing what I want to do led to all my pain for the most part. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until I humbled myself and, you know what I'm saying, took a personal inventory without scapegoating and doing all that there. That's not until I started to grow mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You know what I'm saying? So then in the process of doing that, then the Most High can give me certain stuff because I'll be a better steward of it. You know what I mean? Even in this respect, now that I have all the, let's say, legal authority, he's still watching me to see how I'm a character. You know what I mean? Now, to anybody else in a worldly stance, I'd be quite justified and whatever. But I don't feel the need to do that. That would make me just like them. The only time I, mirror a tactic is for, protection purposes and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? So, to be solution oriented, there's this app, I gotta go through my paperwork, where we can communicate through an app, you know what I'm saying, that's like, it's not tied to the court, but it's sanctioned by the court or something like that. So I'll talk to him on that. And I'll unblock them. But you won't be able to actually, like I might talk to people on Facebook Messenger, but they don't have my phone number. It's still on my device, but it's something about not being able to garner access to me or be able to just call me whenever you want and just talk stupid. Because at this point, they're just throwing anything at the wall hoping something stick. Because they have no more plays in the pot. What used to work don't work now. How you used to be able to manipulate and bamboozle and whatever the case may be, because you've done it so much, or you cry wolf so much. When you cry wolf this time, ain't nobody listening. You know what I'm saying? All that, I could probably call the spell work, ain't working the same. And if that's all you got in your arsenal, I can understand how you're going to lash out because you don't know how to do nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, well, even if you don't admit, okay, I did do that. Okay, let me just work with the man now. All right, They can't do that. They can't. They couldn't do it if they wanted to because it's not in their soul. Their souls is darkened by, the lack of remorse and repentance and the continuing to exhibit bad behavior. That's why I said in the previous video, right? I understand now. Anything you do habitually got a spirit attached to it. Whether it's lying or scheming, you know what I'm saying? Just like looking at the behavior. You're still going to scheme because you don't know how to do nothing else. And based on how the letter was written, it was basically lashing out because whatever initial scheme they had, when I had them, send them a letter saying that this is going to be parameters of our communication, it angered them. Because now they got to go back to the drawing board because their scheme that they already had construed in their mind wasn't going to work that way. So they lashed out in anger. Ain't nothing been working for them. It's not meant to work no more. It had its run. It's over. We're in a new spiritual state. You know what I'm saying? And then, this is crazy, yo. I can only, when the Bible start talking about the end times and people run up in people's homes and women selling themselves for a can of sweet corn. I'm paraphrasing. I can see this playing out, yo. A little bit of world news. I don't know how true it is. I believe it is true, but they don't tell you the whole totality of it. So I think Trump said he's going to cut HUD funding. HUD funding. So that means, potentially, if people don't have FUD, subsidized housing, so on and so forth from a federal level, that means that, potentially people could be homeless. Elderly folk, people on, Social Security, so on and so forth. I don't think, now, initial scare, boom. You let that simmer for a minute. But what it'll be is we're going to transition from that into universal basic income. But in order to do this, we're going to have some stipulation, which they'll go for because they don't have any place in the pot. They're not used to standing on nothing, and they're not used to any level of uncomfortability. You know what I'm saying? The keeping up of appearances, that the illusion thereof is eroding away. It's just in your mind. Everybody else can see it for what it is. You know what I mean? Not that I have any, but it's just, boy. Again, like I said in the last video, I feel like Jeremiah. Like, I ain't even worried about no attack or no scheme. I'm just mindful of it in wisdom and, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just sad. Like, Man, down with Babylon, yo. This is what Babylon has done to our people, Jack. I guess it was all prophesied and so on and so forth, but sometimes I be wondering, cause I'm like a little kid, and this is what jammed me up before, and brother Anthony talked about that, where I see it for what it is. Like all the stuff I'm saying now, I seen it then. I just seen I seen what they could be, or I gave them a pass because of whatever they've been through and da-da-da, which then alludes to what I was talking about was that last video where when you start healing or have come to a level of healing, right? The vast majority look scary to you. Not like in a physical threat scary or you're afraid of them themselves. It makes you afraid that they could potentially, attack your peace, your mental clarity. Like when I read that essay paragraph, I don't like being like, what is all that? Called me a wolf and she's called me a narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Claim that all the stuff I'm attempting to do is wrong, even though, not that I live in the past, that's what she attempted to do to me, which was the contributing factor, just trying to find some way to stop it from happening, or at least stop the bleeding. That's what she did to me. But they don't remember none of that. You know what I mean? They don't remember all the dirt they've done, and then when they do, they got some justification for it. But then again, when somebody do the very exact same thing to you, you put on Justin Timberlake, Cry Me a River, and now you want all this sympathy. But then what has happened is, not just with me, but with others, ain't nobody taking you seriously because they've had a negative experience with you. You know what I mean? So now all that gaining sympathy and the smear campaign ain't working because everybody know you lie bad. They just don't say nothing to you because they'd rather not be bothered with you. So, oh, okay, yeah, all right. So I know what it's like by my own decision making to be isolated or to me not have no credibility because I'm not credible. You know what I'm saying? So the spiritual journey I went on through, rehab repeatedly and so on and so forth. Now, people might not like what I say, but people know what I stand on, and I'll say it to anybody. And I stand on what I said, even if no one listening, and even if it's against all odds. Because then there's the potential of, recourse and so on and so forth. But when I get by myself, you know what I'm saying, I'm all right with me. Because I knew I did what a man was supposed to do, yeah. That's all I want to do. Here's what's so crazy in Babylon. They want to psychologically shame you for being a man. Because if you're a man, just like in my personal situation, by default of you just operating as a man, you're resisting what they're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So with me trying to find out information about my child's medication, that was resistance against them getting paid for my child being labeled disabled. You know what I mean? I think I seen the Joy Taylor, a little bit more news, right? I seen the Joy Taylor woman from ESPN that I guess Skip Bayless, man, offered $1.5 million for her body parts, right? I believe she was on a podcast and said she has no desire to date a man of God, and that's a red flag. So my homeboy posted. So I'm like, yeah, it's a red flag. It's a red flag from the hoeing. You know what I'm saying? The 304ing. No, I don't want none of that. Because he's going to say something, or he's not going to go for the stuff everybody else go for, or my tactics ain't going to work on him. So of course I don't want to deal with him. The only time they want a man is when they need somebody to save the day. But that's it. Or some, meat and money, as I like to call it. But as far as, some semblance of order and so on and so forth, no, they don't want none of that. Here's what's crazy, right? They would rather reign supreme over a barren wasteland than be in proper order in a harmonious situation. You know what I'm saying? Just like when Kamala was running. They weren't voting for Kamala because they thought she was better than Trump. They were voting for Kamala because of what she represented. A harlot woman who's not actually who she says she is in ethnicity, getting to the zenith of power. That's what they were voting for. Even though with the authority she had as the vice president at the time, she didn't properly manage what was under her authority then, mainly foreign policy and the border. But we'll forget all that Even if it's vexing us, we'll forget all that, or we won't acknowledge it because of what it represents. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to, let's say finance-wise and fake fiat currency. The average person, these type of people, I'll put it like that. They want to be rich, but they don't want to obtain the characteristics and the attributes that would make you become rich, like hard work, late nights, sacrifice. They just want to get rich. They want something without, as I like to call it, you want something without the understanding of the responsibility and the duty that come with it. Even in respect to this personal situation, with her having all the authority, everything was going haywire. Babylon is something, Jack. Ooh-wee. It's amazing to see it. And I feel I feel like Jeremiah, like, I feel sorry for them. I feel, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do, even though I think they know what they're doing. They just don't see the ramifications, because typically the narcissist person lives in the now. That's something I had to figure out, live in the now, as far as like not being impulsive and, just spending money dumb and all that. They can't perceive the future, even though the signs of what the future is coming to are all around. When the words say, there will come a time where they will not heap sound doctrine, and they'll just pick out teachers for themselves who basically tell them what they want to hear. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to go rich on YouTube or whatever the case may be, I just tell everybody what they want to hear. But when you tell people what they need to hear out of love, they don't want nothing to do with it. How I say in the word, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And that's where I'm at. Like, I ain't even tripping off me personally. I'm tripping off, I'm praying for my enemies at this point, man. Not that I'm praying for them themselves. I'm praying for their souls, yo. Because I know what it's like to be vexed in your soul. To not be right with you. You know what I'm saying, me? That's why you always, like, people who not right with them always need people around or to be doing stuff or noise to distract themselves from themselves. Now, I like peace. I like being able to hear myself think. You know what I'm saying? So much so to the point, it's completely and quite all right if, let's say, I did something wrong, right? I don't really do nothing wrong. Let's say I made a mistake, right? Like, I got enough humility where I can deal with that and seek to course correct. And it don't make me feel like a poop person. I just made a mistake. But I don't want to make it no more, so let me learn from it. What did I learn in the mistake? I've repeated the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. By the grace of Most High, it's like he time release triggered me for a time such as this. So even this isn't coming from a place of preeminence or, you know what I'm saying? I'm greatly humbled that I'm not like that no more. I wasn't like that anyway. I was just like that in my own way, you know what I mean? But this might be the greatest blessing ever bestowed on me, to just be freed from my own divisiveness, you know what I'm saying? To be open to learning, to be open to course correct, to get a monumentous victory, and then check myself to make sure I'm going about it humbly, you understand me? Because, leading up to it, there was the thought in my mind to gloat, or could they vex me, or I know they trying to bury me in the ground and all that. Then when I got the victory, I ain't even feel like that, yo. And had I not got the victory, I wouldn't have did nothing but went back to the drawing board and mounted another campaign. Because I got to keep fighting until I win, even if it don't look like it. Because if I give up, it's going to affect my spirit. Oh, you a chump. Oh, we regather the supply, and we're gonna charge up this hill one more again. Because I can't get no further till I get up the hill. So I might have to, strategically, I don't want to say retreat, backtrack to size the hill up better. But right now, the only thing is this hill. Because if I don't get up this hill, ain't nothing shaking. So, okay, we went this way. Maybe we should go at this angle. Okay, I'll rest up a little bit. I'll size it up. It ain't no stopping from going up the hill. It ain't no stopping from going up the rough side of the mountain. Because that's all there is. It's not like, oh, I didn't make it up the hill or the rough side of the mountain, and I just, watch Seinfeld. Don't nothing exist but this hill. I can't get no further until I conquer this hill, even if it take me 7 times. You know what I'm saying? That's what they not perceiving, the resiliency, the perseverance, the mental and spiritual and emotional fortitude that they lack. That's why everything is so superficial, vain, and material with them, because they're internally and inwardly bankrupt. Not that I'm so better, because I've been all those things myself. Now I see the blessing in having a soul restored. You know what I mean? Word up, man. But there's just a little content, man. I just feel bad for these folk, man. And not just that, because they have children that they raising that might pick up that spirit. Even though I don't think that's the case, right? But still, I'm looking at the reciprocal action of this. You know what I'm saying? How are your children perceiving this? What traits are they picking up? Essentially, I was fighting to break a generational curse that run in their family. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't actually break it, me, myself. The Most High gave me the breakthrough because I wouldn't break. And I was thinking about this prior to, opening us up, right? And this one been in my spirit today, right? Endurance. The word talks about enduring, not the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but the one who endures to the end. And on that note, I'm gonna holler at y'all, man. One love, baby. Ooh.